49ers get pounded by the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football, and the 49ers their first primetime loss of the season. It's crazy, right? Niners fall to 5-7. We're going to have some fun on today's episode of the WayneBreezie Show, so stick around. We'll break down this game, and we'll get to some grades and what are we going to do next right after this. What's going on, 49er faithful? Thank you so much for tuning in to the WayneBreezie Show. You guys are really the real MVPs. It's been a real down season for the San Francisco 49ers players, coaching, fans, content creators, Breezy Bunch crew. It's just been a down season. The Niners fall to 5-7 after losing to the Buffalo Bills, 35-10 too. It's like they get bodied again 2 weeks in a row. Definitely didn't expect the 49ers to get bodied, I think, 2 weeks in a row. I think embarrassed, bodied, pounded, whatever the word is you want to come up with, that's totally up to you. But you know what? I appreciate you guys for being here and just joining me on this therapeutic ride of how we going to finish out the season. And all I'm going to say is this: 5 games to go. That's it. 5 games to go. 5 games to go, 49er faithful. Then it'll be over. The playoffs are they are not mathematically out of the playoffs. All right. So for those that still hold on to that little bit of hope, 12% chance of the 49ers making playoffs is a 12% chance, according to the data out there, that the 49ers can make the playoffs. It's still hope. They just got to find a way to win out, and they had opportunities to win games. I think that Green Bay game would have been huge if they could have got the win in Green Bay, but they got pounded there. And then, this was a game I just didn't think that the Niners were going to win, period. And unfortunately, in the snow, man, they were slipping and sliding. We lost some people. Now, I do want to just wish everybody, hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving weekend and you got to celebrate and spend time with the family or with your loved ones. And for those that didn't get a chance to do that, and Thanksgiving is not a good day, I just pray for you guys as well. I just hope everyone was able to do something with their time on Thanksgiving, whatever that is, whatever that consisted of. I hope you got to enjoy it. All right. Shout out to the Breezy Bunch crew. You guys are out here, man. Everybody in the Breezy Bunch crew. You're just going to get the air horns right now, right off the bat. Peachy was the first in the building that I see on the chat. Salute and the chat. Think about the call this season. Be sure to smash that like button. So guys, make sure you hit that like button. If this is your first time watching, go ahead and subscribe, and feel free. You can now join the Breezy Bunch crew. You can become a member of the channel and get all the cool things that comes along with being a member. So become a member as we speak. 49ers Throwback says, thanks for tuning in, faithful. Please do that. What Peachy said, also let's keep Trent Williams and his family in our prayers as well. The Williams family, they lost a baby as well. Like, this is a weird season, man. Crazy season. You can't make the stuff up that's going on, but this is real life. This is personal for Trent and his wife, and losing a baby is I can't even imagine what they're going through. So just make sure you keep these players in your prayers. I know we get down on them when they're not performing well out there on the football field, and we're expecting guys to show up and be Superman and out there on the football field, and we never really know like what they're going through in their personal walks. Like, you know what I mean? That's why I try to have a little leeway, a little optimism, depending on what each individual is going through. You just never know, and they don't have to open up with stuff as well. So, what we see them do on the football field, cool to critique, whatever, but, just be mindful that these players are human beings, and they tend to go through stuff as well. So, prayers up to the Williams family out there. Just wanted to put that out there. Matthew, what's going on? He says, hey, Breezy, just wanted to say thank you for being a real YouTuber. Unlike some of these others out there. Hey, Matthew, thank you for that comment. I don't even know what that means, but I receive it. I accept it. I appreciate it. I'm just being me, whatever that means. Whatever that means. Rob D, be safe out there on the subway. Shout out again to the crew. Alejandro in the building. What's going on? Corey, I see you out there. Jermaine, X-Man 2. Tanisha, what's going on, girl? She said that, yo, okay, can I share a story with you guys? Can I share a story? Tanisha, this is a dope comment too, by the way. I remember in high school, we had to play our rival. Well, not our rival. Our rival was Cross. That was the other school in New Haven. But we had to play like across town against the team called West Haven. They're called the Seahawks, believe it or not, right? So we had to play them. And at that time, they had, do you guys know that kind of turf where they used to put sand? I don't know if it was, I think it was AstroTurf, right? And so we were told to wear sneakers on the AstroTurf. Okay, we were told to wear sneakers if we didn't have turf shoes. Now, our parents weren't going to go buy, some parents did, but my mom wasn't going to go out there and buy me just a pair of turf shoes to play one game, because all my other games and all the majority of the games we played was on grass. And so when I was watching this game, it reminded me of that game. Now, when we showed up to West Haven, we were so, I would say, like, unprepared to just feel safe out there on the football field, if that makes any sense. It wasn't inclement weather, but they put a bunch of sand on the field. So with sneakers, we were sliding, and so we were literally defensively like tiptoeing out on the football field. Literally tiptoeing out on the football field because we were scared to tackle. We were nervous. We were going to get injured. I promise you, watching that game last night, that's what the Niners looked like. They looked like they didn't know how to react to the snow. Everybody was playing, I would say, like 75% speed, maybe even half speed. It was just a weird game to watch. And you could tell that the home team had the advantage. And in high school, the West Haven Seahawks had the advantage because they knew exactly what shoes to wear. They knew what to wear when it came to sand and whatever they put out on the football field. I remember sliding on that field, getting turf burns and all that type of stuff, man. It just was the unpleasant feeling. Now, in the snow, it's a little different, but I brought that up, and thank you, Tanisha, for saying that because it reminded me of that. I brought that up because it just reminded me of like being just a little nervous out there on the football field. It just did. Now, unfortunately, the Niners are, I would say, struck in with the injury bug. Lost Kevin Givens early in the game to a chest injury, which I was ecstatic of getting Kevin Givens back because Kevin Givens was a rotative piece that they would use to help stop the run. And you know what, defensively, when I go back and I think of everything that I watched, thought the first series defensively, they were on point. And then the Bills made some adjustments. And that let me know that Nick Sorensen is furthermore need to be thrown into the trash can. He is a non-adjusting type of a person. I don't know what they did differently. They started throwing screens, quick throws, and all that type of stuff, and the Niners just could not adjust defensively to what the Buffalo Bills were doing offensively. And you would think in the snow, both teams were able to run the ball, so I'll leave it at that. Both teams, I thought, were able to run the ball, but it was amazing to watch Josh Allen throw the ball, quick throws in the snow, which literally reminded me of how the San Francisco 49ers used to be. We used to be the efficient team. I don't know how Josh Allen and every other quarterback that we've played this year becomes the efficient quarterback and we turn into the turnover machine quarterback. Like, what happened? How does that happen? I don't get it. But, I tip my hat to the Buffalo Bills. Again, they were well prepared. And, defensively, I was just shocked. I didn't see an adjustment, and it was like they were doing on the second series, they were about to get off the field again. Mooney Ward gets the illegal contact penalty. There's only 2 penalties in this game, so we do got to say, okay, 2 penalties in this game, and I believe like not a lot of mistakes. There was only 6 missed tackles, believe it or not, in this game. 6. recorded, 6 missed tackles. So like they definitely fixed a lot of the issues that were going on with the missed tackles. They went from 19 to 6. I'll take that any day. And then the penalties went from 9 to 2. I'll take that any day. But man, these penalties happen at the worst opportune time. So it just seemed like the defense could never adjust and get back into, get back into football shape. Fred Warner goes off the field because he catches cramps. I think that was shortly after the Christian McCaffrey injury. And we're going to talk about the offense as well, but it just seemed like defensively they couldn't adjust. And you know what made me like just really put the defense, the play that Josh Allen caught a touchdown pass. Like, he threw the ball to Amari Cooper. We couldn't tackle Amari Cooper because he held him up. So instead of tackling the guy, we hold him up, right? And that should count as a missed tackle. And then Amari Cooper tosses it back, which looked like a lateral pass, but whatever. Tosses it back, and he gets into the end zone. And I was just like, man, like the 49ers literally look like the Bad News Bears. That's what they look like. It's like I'm watching the Bad News Bears 1980s movie where it's a coach and a bunch of kids that you just can't get together. You can't figure it out. At this point, I'm laughing at everything that I'm watching. I really am. I'm laughing at everything I'm watching. I'm not blaming it on the weather. I'm blaming it on the same things that I've been blaming the San Francisco 49ers lack of play on from the beginning of the season. I see some questions out there in the chat. I'm going to star them. I'll make sure I get to them at some point in the show. But yeah. Oh, and turnovers. The turnovers were the same though. So 3 turnovers. And defensively, they gave up 35 freaking points. Defensively, 35 points. It's just a bummer. And I get Nick Bosa's not out there. Javon Hargrave's not out there. Who else we were missing? Deommodore Lenoir wasn't out there. I get you're missing some starters. A lot of young cats out there. But, I'm looking at these defensive grades and what PFF ranked and graded guys. I mean, half of the guys that they got in the top 5, you wouldn't even have known was on this team. That's how bad the defense was. And it's not a shot at the players, but that's how bad the defense is. And we're going to go through some of these grades. But the guys that you expect to be on the top were at the very bottom. Again, Fred Warner, close to the bottom. And so, I don't know, man. It's tough. It's real tough. It's tough watching this team kind of wither away. Mike said something on the B.A.M show, I think, or maybe on No Harm, No Foul. It's like the team is gracefully kind of bowing out. You're starting to see players, show up injured or whatever. And this is a way to kind of remove them from the field and get these other guys out there. But it seems like they're just kind of gracefully bowing out and going through the motions. And 5 games left. They got to play the 5 games. They got to show up for the 5 games. They got to play the 5 games. But defensively, they just did not look good. They did not look good. They just didn't look good. That's what I got. Malik Mustafa, 2 missed tackles. Jair Brown, 2 missed tackles. The safeties can't miss the tackles. The thing that was pissing me off about the defense, right? Especially when it came to safety, especially Jair Brown. I'm saying to myself, Jair, why are you over pursuing inside? They're going to try to cut to the outside, and you're the safety. So if they get outside of you, you're going to give up a big gain. And he did it twice. And we talk about a second-year guy, and I don't know if Jair Brown fits the Sorensen's defense. He was definitely the man in Steve Wilkes' defense. But he's not fitting right now. He's not playing well at all. You want to talk about sophomore slump. He's having a bad down year, in my opinion. And I'm starting to look back at that draft class. How many people from that draft class not even here anymore? I think Cam Latu's gone. Ronnie Bell's gone. Jake Moody should be on his way out the door. Braden Willis basically gone. I mean, he gets a snap or two. This is crazy, man. Um, Brock Purdy, the only one that's hanging on. And I know a lot of people feel like Brock Purdy needs to be gone. What a draft class. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Also, all 3 third-round picks, right? We have 3 third-round picks in that draft, right? Jair Brown. And I'm not saying Jair Brown is gone. It's just he's not looking good. Not looking good. Let's go to the offensive side. The offense scored the first. The offense helped put up the first points. Jake Moody scored the first points for the 49ers, and then he missed 6 more points. He missed 2 opportunities out there. I don't know if the wind kicked in or if the weather got to him or he got snow in his eye or nostril or whatever. But he missed a couple of longer field goal attempts out there. I think he missed a 45er and a 50-plus yarder one. He missed those. At this point, I think Kyle could cut his ties with the kicker in the 3rd round if he's going to continue to miss. Now, I will say the weather might have played a factor, but I thought one of the reasons why you went after a kid like this is because he's like an all-terrain type of a kicker. Being in Michigan, he's kicked in cold weather, he's kicked in snowy weather, and playing in the Big Ten, he's dealt with the elements. But I guess at this point, man, you know, I've always been a fan of saying that what you do in college doesn't matter, because it really doesn't. It helps you get drafted, and after that, you got to reinvent yourself when you get to the next level, and maybe he's just not a next-level kicker. And maybe Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch drafted him. I could see why John Chapman always says you don't waste draft picks on special teams kickers and punters and things like that. I get it. I totally get it. Especially when you were able to bring in a kicker off the street who didn't miss. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, what they're going to do about Jake Moody, I don't know. But, you know, special teams-wise, Moody wasn't good, and then Debo fumbles at the very end just to sum up everything. So, like, Debo was the best returner, and then he coughs up the ball on the last return, right? So he was gashing them up. He was getting explosive plays on special teams. He was the only bright thing that the 49ers had really going for him. And then on that very last play, took a hit, ball pops out, and he fumbles the ball. So that's your special teams recap. They're just not good. Special teams is just not good. And then offensively, like I said, they were moving the ball. They were running the ball really well. Now, a lot of people feel like Christian McCaffrey was overused, and I get it. I think as long as Christian McCaffrey plays for the 49ers, he's going to always be considered overused, even though Kyle Shanahan only ran him 7 times. And on the 7th time is when the injury occurred. So if you feel like 7 times is being overused, I don't understand that. Like, that doesn't even make sense to me. But he was explosive. We finally saw the explosive version of Christian McCaffrey. And, you know, there's some video stuff going on about Christian McCaffrey's injury. If you've seen it, it's very ugly and disturbing to watch. You can see kind of like the shock from the ground affects the calf, which affects the knee. But apparently he left the game with a knee injury and did not return to the game, right? And there was another video that was going around out there in the Twitterverse where a play or two before that, remember he had that long explosive run, I think for like 19 yards, and he fell on his knee. And I don't know if it was like ice or hitting the ground. I don't know how frozen the grass was or whatever or like that, if they were, you know, how hard the ground was. But, you know, apparently that might have been the play where it really affected the knee. And when he went to run on that last play, his knee kind of said, no, 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 no. So the good news for me, and a quote, you know, Kyle Shanahan said that is a possible PCL injury. But the good news that I saw was that Christian McCaffrey was able to get up and like walk through the tunnel. I thought that was kind of cool because I'm like, yo, if he's not on a cart or if he's kind of limp, he didn't even limp. He wasn't even limping. He was literally like, he literally walked through the tunnel. So I'm hoping that it's not as severe as they say that it was. But we're going to find out for sure. We're definitely going to find out for sure. And if it's a PCL injury, there's some doctors out there that feels like this could be season ending for Christian McCaffrey, which At this point, there's only 5 games left, so just let it be a season-ending injury. Like, if it is, it is. I saw that too, Nigel. He lightly jogged off the field too, so which made me feel good. Because they said it was a knee injury, so I'm like, if it's knee, you're automatically thinking ACL. But if he was able to jog off the field, you can't jog with an ACL injury. And then he walked very I thought he was walking like a regular person. And maybe this is just a precaution. You know what I'm saying? Maybe this is just a precaution. If it's a PCL strain, now you just got to let that PCL just pretty much heal up on its own. Because strain and sprain is 2 different things. Not a doctor here, but it is what it is. So Christian McCaffrey, probably we've seen the last of him in 2024. You know what I mean? It's just a crazy. I don't think he's done. Like Ahmad Z says he's done. He could be. Listen, a lot of players could be done, bro. I just don't think he's done. I don't think he really ever got started. And I would like to see if he's able to do training camp. If Christian McCaffrey's able to go through training camp, then we shall see. If he's done. I think we got to give him an opportunity to get through a full camp or whatever like that. But I don't know. I don't know if he's done. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're not right. I don't feel he's done. I see Kenny Powers says he'll get hurt again. He's injury prone. We knew Christian McCaffrey had some injuries back in Carolina by the way he was used in Carolina. And stuff could just be catching up to guys. You guys, what? Y'all probably right. Yeah, he getting older. He's 30 years old, right? And he's getting older. At 31, we're asking him to go out there and be productive. You know what I'm saying? So there's a possibility that y'all are 100% correct. He could be done. But it was like once Christian McCaffrey left the game, and the Niners couldn't score in the red zone. Once again, the Niners went 1 for 3 in the red zone. Only touchdown came by running back Isaac Guerrero, too, by the way, which was way late in the game. So it was good to see that Kyle Shanahan continued to run the ball at some point. I thought the Niners ran the ball very, very well. Unfortunately, they couldn't really get into a rhythm because the Niners were down by so many points. You know what I mean? They were down by so many points. So at this point, San Francisco's offense is really a big shell of itself. We could point fingers at Kyle Shanahan, whoever else is helping out Kyle Shanahan. We could point fingers at just about anybody. But, even Kyle Shanahan said that, we're not the team that we used to be. Those were his words. I don't know if he said we suck, but he said we're not the team that we used to be. And I think that's fair. It's a fair assessment, something I've been saying for a minute, something that you guys have been thinking for a minute. And Kyle Shanahan finally came out and said, yep, you know what? We're not who we thought we are. You know what I mean? And I think it just started mainly from the mentality. The mentality was different. I'm watching the offensive linemen get bullied by defensive linemen like that. I'm watching them get bullied in the run game. I'm watching wide receivers not block. I'm just watching a lot of stuff I'm not used to seeing with the San Francisco 49ers offense. I'm looking at George Kittle drop a screen pass. I'm looking at Juwan Jennings dropping the pass, something that he hasn't really done lately. It's just a weird version of the San Francisco 49ers offense. And I need this offense to be, I don't know, maybe Kyle will look to revamp it once the season is over. Once the 49ers are mathematically out, y'all, we can really sit down and have these serious conversations about what we think Kyle should do. This is that and the third. This is that. Like that to me is when we can have that. Until we're not mathematically out yet. Anything can happen. This is football. I will say that. But it is what it is. Injuries are going to happen. You don't plan for them. You just hope that you have a contingency plan. And I think Kyle's contingency plans are different than his regular game plans. And, if we're talking about rebuilding, revamping, there's 2 different things. If we're talking about retooling, if we're talking about resetting, there's so many different versions of what Kyle Shanahan can probably do. Let's talk about Brock Purdy, because Brock Purdy, to me, was just not good. Like, I don't know if it was the elements, the snow, which he does have a history of not playing well in weather games. other than dry games. That's what I mean by weather wet. Or if it was the game he was coming back off of his, shoulder soreness. He didn't seem to be throwing the ball too well. He was 11 for 18. 11 for 18, 94 yards on the day. It's not a good game for Brock, in my opinion. That's a terrible game for Brock now that I think about it. Very terrible game for Brock. So I don't think Brock played well. I thought Brock almost shot a few interceptions. It is what it is. It's just, it is what it is. Brock, this game, you know what? I want to see Brock play at home in different weather where it's a little bit more controllable. He can do a little bit more with the ball. No Christian McCaffrey, so it should be a totally different game. Hopefully we get some Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason did leave the game. He did go into the concussion protocol. He did go into the blue tent to get checked for a concussion, but he did come back. But you did see Kyle Shanahan use Isaac Orendo a little bit more too as well. A little bit more. So offensively, this team just doesn't have it this year. And I think what's most disappointing is they got so many weapons. They got so many weapons. Like so many. It's crazy. Super crazy. My man Matt, Niner Diehard 1981, says, Breezie, I was almost right on a score prediction. You were. Niners put up 10 points. Again, 10 points in back-to-back weeks. Not a good sign for the San Francisco 49ers offense. You leave 10 points out there. And now we got to talk about the turnovers because the Brock Purdy fumble was crucial. Ball slips out of his hand. Had a little pocket, wasn't super clean. But let's talk about the fumble that really mattered the most. Let's talk about the one fumble that mattered most. I'm not saying that the Deebo Samuel fumble wasn't bad or the Brock Purdy fumble wasn't bad. Let's talk about the Kyle Juszczyk fumble. Because at that point, the Niners were driving and they were about to score a touchdown. I really thought he was about to walk into the end zone. I'm like, oh, man, he in the end zone. Good play call, right? Good play call. Gave him the ball. Opportunity for Kyle. He doesn't get many. Juice, you don't get many ops. You got to take advantage of the ops. And he fumbles the ball. I mean, like, I could talk about the defense all day, but when the offense isn't sustaining drives and scoring points, I don't expect the defense to play at an elite level with full energy for 60 minutes. It's impossible. If they're on the field the majority of the time, it's impossible. Almost impossible. Defensively, the defense was on the field. And this is what I mean by impossible. The defense was on the field 36 minutes and 43 seconds. The defense was on the field for 36 minutes and 43 seconds. Miss Debbie has a question. Juice had the ball punched out. Is that considered a fumble? It absolutely is. Every time Fred Warner punches out a ball, it's a fumble, right? Juice had that ball punched out. It's absolutely considered a fumble. Punched out, you got to hold on to the ball. It's a fumble. It's not a call to punch out. It's not a stat for a punch out. Fumble is a fumble. Like it doesn't matter how you categorize it. It's when the player loses the ball. Let's not move the goalpost on what fumbling is. No, the ball didn't slip out of his hand. That's not what I was saying. But the ball was punched out and it's considered a fumble. That's what a fumble is. The fumble is when a player loses the ball. If it was a wide receiver and the ball was punched out, it would be a fumble. If it's a quarterback and the ball slips out of his hand, it's a fumble. The ball slipped out of Brock Purdy's hand, but it was called a fumble. Just tough. The only thing that can't cause the fumble is when they hit the ground, and you don't know how bad I was looking forward to see. I was hoping, it's like, yo, please let any part of their bodies touch that ground, please. And it just didn't happen. I thought Debo hit the ground and didn't happen. I thought it, you know. But it's just tough, man. It was it was one of those games like if something went bad, it was all going to go bad. Losing Christian McCaffrey early, everything went bad. Everything. You know what I'm saying? So look, I'm the type of person with this, but from this particular game, I'm not really like all wound up about it. I was more pissed off last week losing to Green Bay because A, that was an NFC game. B, we really needed that win more than any win. It would have just boosted our standings up a little bit, and I think it would have boosted the morale of the team. But after getting blasted by Green Bay, I knew the Niners weren't gonna come out and get blasted again. Right? Aaron Granado says, when it rains, it pours. That's what's happening at this moment. That's what's happening at this moment. Aaron said, let's talk about Purdy's fumbles. It's concerning to see that this is becoming consistent when the ball is slipping out of his hands and it turns into a fumble. Is it fair to say that Purdy doesn't play well in those conditions? It's a great question, great assessment. Miss Debbie, I see that Murphy's Law comment. That's some real stuff, right? Whoever created Murphy's Law was a genius, Murphy. But no, this is so. I don't know, Araceli, if you remember me having I talked about a show about where I said that Brock Purdy will be challenged, not mentally, but based off of his physical attributes. And last night, I did a show. I did the Bleacher Report. I do the overreaction shows on Bleacher Report. And so it was too late to do 2 overreaction shows, or I would have did one here. But I did the overreaction show on Bleacher Report. And I said that Brock Purdy, when it comes to certain things, is going to struggle. 1, his height. 2, his hand size. And I know a lot of us don't pay attention to any of those measurables when it comes to certain things like, none of us were really scouting Brock Purdy and all that type of stuff. Okay. None of us were. But if you have one kind of negative downside to your attributes, to your measurables, cool. But height and hand size is a limitation for Brock Purdy. So height means that he's not really able to see over these big offensive linemen, and defensive linemen are able to get their hands up. And that's why you see a lot of batted balls down. That's why I like when Brock Purdy's able to move outside to where he has more clear vision to throw the ball. So you could work around the height. But in these type of conditions, for some reason, Brock Purdy's hand size possibly allows the ball to slip out of his hand when it's wet. It just seems like every time we play a game in wet conditions, Brock Purdy doesn't play well. So look, I'm not saying that is the issue. That's the reason. But when quarterbacks, your typical quarterbacks are drafted, they look for quarterbacks that are like 6'5" and up, 6'4" to 6'6", right? And then hand size is just a little bit bigger than 9 1/4. I don't know what Patrick Mahomes' hand size is. TC12I says that Patrick Mahomes has the same hand size. Patrick Mahomes also throws a lot of interceptions, doesn't turn the ball over much as far as fumbles, but he also is able to get out the pocket and make plays. So I don't know. Maybe you're right. I know it might not affect Patrick Mahomes' hand size. His hand size might not affect his play, but it definitely looks like it's affecting Brock Purdy's play. And it has every single time we've played a game in any type of element other than dry weather. So I'm just saying that I think some coaches and scouts, they look at certain things like hand size. It could be one of those things. You know what I'm saying? It does. I'm not saying that that's the only thing, but those are some of the measurables that I think coaches look at for when they scouting the top draft picks. Brock Purdy was a project. We know it. And I'm not saying Brock Purdy isn't the franchise quarterback. I'm not saying that Brock Purdy isn't elite. He's still elite in my opinion. And I still think he's the franchise for the 49ers. I just think this is one of those weird seasons where nothing is working. Nothing. Like nothing is working. Nothing offensively is working. The defense is in shambles. It's just a bunch of stuff, man. This is a bunch of stuff. I just don't think it's a good season for Brock Purdy. You know what I mean? Or the 49ers, period. And I think Brock Purdy's doing the best out there. Didn't expect him to get shoulder soreness, but he got that, I believe, on a run. So at least we got that element. We got the athleticism from Brock Purdy. So it's a bunch of stuff, man. I'm not making up any excuses, but he didn't play well. That's not an excuse. And it could have been because the ball slipped out of his hand. I don't understand. I don't see anything wrong with that. The ball slipped out of his hand. Colin says Joe Burrow had passes batted down yesterday at the loss. Is he short too? Nah, it doesn't. I don't think he's short, but Brock Purdy is. So that my point is about Brock Purdy. I don't really care about anybody else. I know Brock Purdy struggles when it's the way they defend Brock Purdy. I don't know if you guys are paying attention, but they're stacking the box and they're forcing him to throw hot, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. So I think defensively, they're getting to Brock Purdy a little bit different than how it was when we used to run that quick, efficient style type of offense. And I miss that. Like I remember the stories about Brock. Oh, his guys are the reason why he's this, and I thought it all worked hand in hand. You know, I never saw anything wrong with Brock throwing a quick screen or a quick slant or a quick this and getting the ball out and being efficient. Now you got all these quarterbacks in the league that are being efficient. They're going from efficient. We just watched Josh Allen, who has one of the biggest arms in the NFL. He hasn't been using that arm all season. They're not built like that anymore. They don't have a Stephon Diggs. They don't have that anymore. What are they doing? Quick throws to Khalil Shakur. Quick throws to this guy. It's all efficiency. Matthew Stafford, efficiency. We like Matthew Stafford, the big arm Matthew Stafford that's going to take the shots down the field. More interceptions, right? Nah, they go into efficient football. I'm trying to figure out why Kyle Shanahan is going away from that efficient football. I don't know if it's something that he doesn't trust or whatever. We got our first Super Chat contribution of the show. Shout out to my man, my bro Mark. Appreciate the Super Chat contribution. He says CMC was finna look like himself. CMC was finally looking like me himself. Drafted QB. So you're saying CMC? Are you saying CMC was finally starting to look back to the CMC, right? That's exactly what I was saying. CMC was set up to have a huge game, and unfortunately, he leaves with an injury. I got that. I was saying that to myself. I didn't tweet a lot yesterday, but I was saying, man, he looks like he's getting back into form. That explosive pop looked like it was there. He was running between the tackles, and next thing you know, the one outside zone play that looked like it wasn't going to be for any yards. It looked like they read that play like a book. He falls down and just takes the loss on that play. So yeah, I agree with you. And you say drafted QB. I don't disagree with you there either. Brock Purdy's going into his fourth year after this season, right? Which will be his contract year. Now the Niners can look to get him an extension. They might look to do it sooner rather than later. Sort of like how they did Jimmy Garoppolo when we traded for Jimmy Garoppolo. They might end up doing something like that with Brock Purdy. I don't mind if the 49ers pay Brock Purdy. I understand the issue with the money and all this type of stuff, but there's going to be a lot of changes moving forward. And I think they should start with Brock. I don't see anything other than some of his physical attributes and things like that. You know, I think he still has the mind to play football. I think Brock Purdy still gives the 49ers the best opportune chances of winning. I don't see anything wrong when it comes to that. I just think that the Niners struggle with a lot of injuries. There's a lot of differences out there. And I don't mind if the Niners decide to pay him $50, $60 million. I understand what the market calls, but that means that they're going to be moving on for some players, which I don't mind. Like at this point, we just looked, the 49ers looked the worst they've looked since Kyle Shanahan's first season here. This is one of those seasons. I don't know if y'all feel that way, but that's how I feel. This season feels like Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch's rookie season. Or you guys can compare it to that year where we had all the injuries like Nick Bosa, Jimmy Garoppolo, George Kittle. You could compare it to that season too. That's fair. That's fair. I'm not saying that Purdy, Ralph, and here's the thing. I'm not saying that Purdy's worth the money, but The market is going to command and demand what you pay him. If the 49ers lowball Brock Purdy, he walks. Or we have the drama like we did last season. If y'all thought Brandon Ayuk's drama was crazy, it'll get even more crazy with the quarterback. Now, I don't expect Brock Purdy to do a lot of the same. I don't think he's that type of person, social media guy, like whatever. But man, it could get rough. It could get rough. But the 49ers faithful, this will always be the take. The market is the market. Nothing we could do about the market. Now, you cannot pay market price. Remember I did that little analogy. You guys eat seafood, ever go out to a restaurant and on the menu, especially at the seafood places, on the menu, they have market prices for like your shrimp, maybe your lobster. That's what you're going to get. It's not a set price. Sometimes you go there, it might be a set price, $29.99, whatever. And then sometimes you go there, it's going to say market price. And whatever the market price for them shrimps or lobster, whatever it is that you like to eat, that's not a normal thing, it's going to cost. If you want it, you got to pay for it. The Niners are going to be in that boat come soon. Soon come. Super soon come. Let's get to some questions out there because I know you guys got a bunch of questions, man. I'm here for it, Feel free to leave a super chat contribution as well, and I'll see some questions. Great 1765 says, how do you feel about Purdy, about old Purdy boy now? I've been told you, man, ain't it? Trade is behind after. First of all, I don't think the Niners would be silly enough to trade Brock Purdy away. Brock Purdy is still the best quarterback in the room. I still feel the same way about Brock Purdy. Listen, this was a weather game. He just didn't play well in it. I'm okay with that. I would have been more upset if this wasn't a weather game and he played this way. Does that make sense? If this wasn't a weather game and Brock Purdy played this type of way, I would have been pissed off. But come on, man. I'm not blaming the weather. Definitely not blaming the weather. I'm just saying. I would have not blaming the weather. I'm just saying. I like Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy gives the Niners the best opportune chance to win out there on the football field. He just has to find a way to be healthy, and I think that's something we should be talking about. Can Brock Purdy remain healthy? Can Brock Purdy stay healthy? So far, he's doing pretty damn good, in my opinion. So, I know a lot of people don't like Brock Purdy, but I'm not one of those guys. Araceli says, should the 49ers bring Greenlaw back this season? Is it worth it at this point? It's a great question. Me personally, I think they should. He's under contract, and after that, he's a free agent. So I feel like the Niners are going to bring him back because they want to get something out of him. If I'm Drake Greenlaw, I kind of would want to play because I want to see if I could make the last 4 or 5 games the reason why I'm going to make some money next season. If Drake Greenlaw doesn't play, then 2023 season, you got to go back off, and then you got to say, well, he doesn't seem to be healthy. I don't know. I don't know what Drake Greenlaw's camp is going to, I don't know what his camp is going to ask him to do. But if I'm Drake Greenlaw's camp and he's healthy and he's considered to be good to go, I think it would be in his best interest to go out there, put some film from this season when nothing else seems to look like it's mattering. And if he could have a crazy 4 or 5 game just tackling machine, play well, then if anything, it helps him and it puts the Niners in a pickle, right? The Niners may not try to play him now that I think about it because they probably want to ask Drake Greenlaw to take the crazy super cheap discount like they like to get. The Niners like their players, but they don't like to pay their players if they don't have to pay their players. And Drake Greenlaw's been injured. He has injury history. Nobody's talking about that. The Niners are going to be looking for a super discount from Drake Greenlaw. So the Niners may just try to shelve him. Drake Greenlaw might want to play. It's crazy, right? Crazy. So if not, guess what? Greenlaw will be a free agent next year, and come March, he can go sign with whoever he wants, and the Niners may never see Dre Greenlaw again. He's not restricted. He's unrestricted. So this could be the end of Dre Greenlaw for the San Francisco 49ers. It's crazy it's just really crazy the way you think about that. Like, you know what I mean? Super duper crazy, in my opinion, the way we think about that. As far as a quarterback situation, I see a lot of people commenting on the quarterback situation. We got another super chat contribution from Jax Knox in the building. What's going on, Jax? This says, hey, faithful, everyone, hope everyone is enjoying their Monday. Stay strong, faithful. Everything is going to be okay. Every child deserves to live. Praying for Trent. Thank you for the super chat contribution, Mark. I'm going to reread your comment as well. And I agree with Jax here. All right, Mark Lamar says, autocorrect got me. CMC was finally looking like himself. Listen, I tried to fix it because I thought this is what you meant. He's finally looking like himself before he got hurt. Purdy, long term, I don't know, but we got to draft a QB. Listen, I definitely like to draft QBs. I don't mind drafting a QB every freaking season. I'm all about this competition. I like the kid from Miami. Kyle probably doesn't like the kid from Miami, but I think that would be kind of cool. He's a good quarterback. He's not mobile, but I think if pocket extends, he can do something with the ball. I don't know. Just got to do something. Got to figure it out. Didn't see us drafting Brock Purdy when we had Trey Lance, so I'm not gonna sit there and say that we're not gonna draft another QB when we got Brock Purdy. I think, Kyle, that's one way to keep the quarterback market away from the Niners paying market price. One way is draft the quarterback, bring him in, compete, and see what happens. I can see the 49ers doing something just like this, mainly because they might not be looking to extend Brock Purdy right now because they may feel a lot of the way you guys feel about Brock Purdy. You know what I'm saying? And so it's crazy, you know. Mordecai. Did Mordecai get drafted? I thought Mordecai was an undrafted free agent. Are we talking about Mordecai Tanner, Nigel? I thought he was an undrafted free agent, if I'm not mistaken. And he's on the practice squad, if I'm not mistaken. But hey, who knows? Who knows? We may see, him play this year. You may see him play this year. Again, here's my thing. If the 49ers aren't competing, meaning that if they're mathematically out of the playoff contention, then I'm cool. It's time to let some of these guys rest. I say shut down Fred Warner, shut down Trent Williams. He hasn't played due to his injury and his personal stuff that's going on. I say shut these guys down at that point. Let the depth play. Let them go out there and play football. And it's not that I want them to go out there and get hurt or anything. That's not what I'm saying. But now you can really start evaluating who you drafted, and you'll have at least 4 games, right? At least 3 or 4 games where you can kind of like really make some decisions, because the Niners, you want to talk about the future of the 49ers? The future of the 49ers is they need to hit on this draft. Free agency. Free agency shouldn't even be ringing a bell for the San Francisco 49ers unless they're looking to bring back some of the players that they already have back, like a guy like Dre Greenlaw. If Dre Greenlaw is willing to come back to the Niners and give the Niners 1 or 2 more seasons, that'd be amazing, because that's what we want, right? We want the guy that helped build that defense. We want another opportunity to see him play full strength with his counterpart and Fred Warner. But, if we think we're going to be better without Dre Greenlaw, then good luck, because look how we're playing without Dre Greenlaw right now. So it's going to be a crazy freaking off season, in my opinion. Crazy off season for the 49ers, but there's a bunch of positions that they're going to need to look forward to. And, if you want to start talking about, the off season for the Niners, well, it's time to build back in the trenches. The Niners got to strengthen the trenches of their roster, because when it comes down to November, December football, which is going to get you into the playoffs, man, that's where it counts and hits you the hardest, in the trenches. We're talking offensive line. We're talking defensive line. Shout out to my little bro 49er Media says, drafted QB? Question. Maybe 6th or 7th round? Yes, but there are other bigger needs, such as offensive lineman, defensive end, defensive tackle, quarterback, safety. I agree. There's always going to be needs on the team. Always, always going to be needs on the team. But you know what? If there's a quarterback that you feel like that's there and you're high on, they're gonna draft them. They're gonna draft whoever they feel. The Niners drafted Ricky Pearsall in the first round. No one in green God's earth had Ricky Pearsall going to any team in the first round. Nobody. And didn't even have him going to the San Francisco 49ers. And then the Niners went and drafted Ricky Pearsall. Why? Because this was a guy that they were high on and that they liked. So I don't want to say that they won't draft a quarterback if they see a quarterback sitting and around or whatever and they're looking to save money. It doesn't make sense, but when have the Niners made sense lately? They haven't. So you're right. We got a bunch of needs. Offensive line, defensive line, need a better edge rusher. They're going to supplement somebody in free agent. Like somebody as a free agent is going to be here. You know what I mean? I think we got one more year with Leonard Floyd, right? He was a 2-year deal, if I'm not mistaken. Do they walk away from Hargrave's contract? Do they move on from Deebo Samuel? I feel like the Niners may come at Deebo with the Eric Armstead contract. He might be the Eric Armstead of 2025. They're going to hit him with say, hey, man, would you mind taking a pay discount? And then they'll just walk away from the money because Deebo hasn't performed. I think the Niners need to find a better kicker situation. See, I'm not the type of person that's going to hold on to these draft picks just because they were draft picks. And we've watched Kyle Shanahan move on from third-round draft picks. I don't know why that's not something we act like we haven't been used to seeing. Like, you know what I'm saying? But we definitely watch him walk away from third-round draft picks. That's what Kyle Shanahan does. Mark Lamar says, I miss Deebo. We stuck with Zesty, Tyshawn. He got to go. Yeah, man, I know where you're going with this. I'm not even going to I'm going to tie into this. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely not. But hey, he different. He's just but you know what? I like what I saw. He was definitely gritty, asking for the ball on special teams. And I think they're not here's my issue with the 49ers, Mark, and I don't know if you feel the same way, and it's okay if we differ. I really don't think that they use him right on the offense. I don't think Deebo's getting his fair share of what, and we've seen this happen, so let's not act like this is something like that's brand new. All teams do this to players. And I feel like if they get Deebo the ball in space, he's definitely more productive, but that's not how we're using him. And I don't know if it's because of the lack of having Brandon Ayuk out there who would be that route running guy. I don't know if it's the lack of trust in a guy like Ricky Pearsall because he's a rookie. I don't know what is going on with the Kyle Shanahan system. All I know is Deebo is playing out of position in the system. I don't care if he's a wide receiver. I don't care if that's what he's labeled as. We're just not using Deebo the way we normally would. But whenever we get that man that ball in his hands quick, Deebo's turning it up for positive yards. And I wish we could have more of that. That's not on Deebo. What's on Deebo is when he gets opportunities and he doesn't make the best of them, like dropping passes that go right through his hands. That's on Deebo Samuel. But I definitely like what I saw from Deebo, man. Deebo decided to say, hey, give me that ball on special teams. I'm going to make a play. If I can make a guy miss, I'm taking it to the house. He almost did. Crazy, right? Ed, what's going on, baby? He says, I totally agree. Breezy, let the vets rest. We have 11 draft picks. I knew we had double-digit draft picks. Next year, let's rebuild and go on. The team is aging. That's another thing we're not talking about. Team getting older. So when I can't remember who it was earlier on the show said that Christian McCaffrey was done, and I'm like, I don't think he's done, but you know what? You could be right. He'll be 31. Running backs kind of die off, kind of like at that age. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. So you could be 100% right, man. We have incredible memories from these guys. Yeah, man, that's what we can say, right? We've watched these players, blood, sweat, tears. We watched Deebo cry. We watched them bleed. We watched Trent Wood. We've got some good stuff out of these players. It could be simply time to move on from some of the aging players and they've got to figure out how to fix some of the other stuff. It's good to see you, Ed. My man Charles Short over on Facebook says missing the playoffs could be a blessing. Finally, somebody that sees things from my perspective. Here we go. I can't wait to hear what you say. We can pick early enough in the draft. that deserves the bell, right? And get Trent's replacement. Oh my goodness. Plus, we can use the other picks to rebuild our depth. We need to reload. Now, that's the word I want us to start using. Reloading. It's not rebuilding. It's not much we need to rebuild. I think the infrastructure is there, right? It's like, if you got a building and it's something wrong with the building, you don't knock it all down, right? Now, if you got good, sturdy foundation, I think the infrastructure and the foundation is there for the Niners to be great, but they might need to upgrade some parts. That's what reloading is. Let's upgrade some of the parts. Maybe we'll put, metal studs instead of wood studs, or aluminum studs instead of wood studs. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we'll use, whatever. I don't know, but I like the reloading word, Charles. I think that's a great term to use for the San Francisco 49ers, like moving forward. Shout out to my man Nigel. He just gifted 5 memberships. Tell you what, I'm not watching live on the YouTube feed, so if you became a member due to Nigel, please go ahead and let me know so I can shout you out. But again, shout out to Nigel on the membership. Let's go over some of these grades. I did want to talk about the grades. You guys can let me know what you think. So let's start with offensively. Who graded what, and if we agree or disagree. All right, so top 5 grades offensively. Dominic Pony, number 1. He finished with an 89.3. Number 1, he finished with an 89.3. Good rebound game for Dominic Pony, right? Played 48 snaps. All right, finished with an 89.3. Ben Barch, first start for the San Francisco 49ers at the left guard spot. I felt like he was immediately an upgrade over Aaron Banks. That's just my thoughts. That's what I saw. You know what I'm saying? That's what I saw. Okay, we got my man TC12I became a member. Appreciate you, bro. That's what I saw. Jawan Jennings was number 3, finished with a 77.0, played 46 snaps in this game. Christian McCaffrey only played 12 snaps, but he finished number 4 with a 76.9. And Jalen Moore for the second week in a row, made the top 5. Congratulations to the top 5 offensive grades. I gotta do the bottom 5. Don't be mad at the bottom 5. I know people not gonna like the bottom 5, but we gotta do the bottom 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, here we go. Number 13, Deebo Samuel, finished with a 55.9, 36 total snaps. Ricky Pearsall was 14th. 52.6. George Kittle was 15th with a 50.5. Brock Purdy was 16th with a 46.4. And Kyle Juszczyk was 17th with a 29.6. So those were your bottom 5. JC Montana, I see your comment out there. Yes, we talked about that and acknowledged it earlier on the show. And thank you so much for just reiterating that. Top 5 defensive grades and the bottom 5 defensive grades. And I told you, man, top 5 defensive grades, man. I'm going to say some names. Y'all going to be like, huh? All right, ready? Number 1, Evan Anderson. He played 33 snaps in the game. If you saw big number 69 out there with the concussion cap on, I don't know what else to call it. He finished with an 83.3. Congratulations to Evan Anderson. Khalil Davis, remember we traded for him from the Houston Texans. I believe that's where we got him from. Finished with a 78.3, played 18 snaps. Devondre Campbell played 41 snaps, finished with a 75.5. Overall grade. Isaac Yiadom played only 11 snaps, but he finished with a 70.1. And then Robert Bill Jr. on 21 snaps, finished with a 69.2. That's why I said I'm at this point where I can let Nick Bosa rest for the remainder of the season. Trent Williams could be done because he'll be back. He's got another year. We know Nick Bosa's got several years, and we can just see what we get from Robert Bill Jr. And I want to see what we get on grass. Like, I want to see what type of pressures they dial up when there's no snow out there on the ground. So I'm kind of like that. So those are your top 5 defensive grades, and here go the bottom 5, and We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got to start with my man. Unfortunately, my boy Jair Brown, he was 16th. He finished with a 50.7. D. Winters, 17th. Wasn't that same draft? 17th. I knew I missed somebody. 43.0. Travarius Ward. That penalty was crucial. Came at the worst opportune time in this game. Finished 18th with a 41.3. Jalen Graham, another draft pick from that draft. He was actually cut but brought back. He finished with a 37.0. He played 13 snaps. Kevin Givens, who left the game with a chest injury, played only 3 snaps in the game, but he finished with a 36.0. It's crazy, right? Like, it's crazy. Like, a bunch of names up there. You're just like, what? You know? And so, look, the Niners just aren't playing good football. They're not a good football team. It's just a bunch of individuals out there trying to do their thing. But I'm okay at this point if the Niners decided to say, hey, Fred, if you need surgery, go get the surgery. Let's just get you right. We got another season to compete for next season. And you just take your loss, right? I kind of call it gracefully bowing out. Like, I'm not mad at that. And I kind of really, want to see what these guys look like, man. I want to see what this depth is going to be moving forward. This could be a great time for Kyle and evaluating. I think the only issue is they're not mathematically out. So it makes it a little bit difficult for Kyle Shanahan to kind of like pull that plug or make that decision. And once they're mathematically out, I can see that happening. I can see that happening. So look, tough loss for the Niners again. The good news is they're playing a team that can't win. They're playing a team that finds ways to lose. The Chicago Bears will be coming into town. Now, I understand if we're not good and we don't look good and I get it. If that's how you feel, that's your prerogative. But you're playing with a team that just can't find ways to win. Now, Eberflus is no longer the head coach of the Chicago Bears. So they may look a little bit different. They may look a little bit more, what's the word? Unorthodox, right? They may come out there and throw some kind of tricks at the San Francisco 49ers because they know that the 49ers are struggling. And see, I just feel like the Niners are playing kind of like they're the team that teams like, yeah, let's play them so we could get right. We could get our energy right. No, Niners need to figure out a way to win this game. They need to figure out a way to win this game, in my opinion. Quest for 6. Should we move from Huff? That's another player that's on the last year of his contract. Team was better with Huff. When Huff is healthy, this team is better. I don't know if they should move on from Huff, but you can't offer him a contract, right? Like, you can't offer him a bang contract, right? Like, you can't, right? Because he's been injured this year. So I don't think that they should move on from Huff, but Huff might be in a position, though, he's going to have to take what's offered to him and take a 1-year deal, possibly. If I'm the Niners, I offer him a 1-year deal. Hey, man, we'll come back for a season. I'll do the same thing to Dre Greenlaw. I think the Niners offer Greenlaw and Huff a 1-year deal. I don't see anything wrong with that. Do you guys agree with that? Give Greenlaw a 1-year deal. I understand that they're coming off of injuries. I understand that they're a little bit older, but they're not super duper old, right? They're not like old out of their position. They're just, I look at it as them being older in their position to where they can be really good because the game is slowed down. I want to see Huff back on the football field in the red and gold. I'm sorry. I need 1 more year. I need a healthy season from Huff. Because then I think we can, if the Niners aren't looking to draft a safety that can play free, cool. Put Jair Brown back as the deep guy. Go back to cover 1. Let him be that guy that rotates, from deep, and keep Huff in the box. You never really have to be interchangeable with those guys, but you can. And I know I like Malik Mustafa as well, but I prefer him definitely in the box. The Niners can have a nice safety package, but if we don't got the defensive coordinator to run that. Like, what's the point? Like, that's just you're just overloading with young safeties that do exactly the same thing. So 49ers throwback says he's done, and that the surgence of Malik Mustafa may just say that. They might not offer him a 1-year deal. But I would like to see Jair Brown. He doesn't have the speed, though, to be the ball hawk. That's my only issue. But Malik belongs around the line of scrimmage. I'm with Great One. We need a ball hawk guy. Like, that's why I'm all for a draft. There's a safety out of Notre Dame I like. I'm all for drafting a ball hawk. I hope the Niners like get super like specific skill set guys. You get what I'm saying? Ooh, Billy Bowman Jr. Yes, Leon. Yes. I'm talking fast. And so and oh man, like just play free. That's why I wanted Kalen Bullock out of USC last year. He's playing well with the Houston Texans. That like they're like specific players we need to go after, in my opinion. Mark says, any chance Brown moves to nickelback after Ward walks and Lenore becomes cornerback 1? You think Brown is quick enough to play in the slot, bro? He already take bad angles as a safety. I don't know if I like this, Mark. Because as a nickel, you got to be quick. I mean, I watched Renardo Green get torched last night. I watched, and I know it was in the snow, but we saw him get torched the week before in Green Bay. There was no snow, so he played too off of the coverage. Got to be more sticky. Nickel's tough. I don't know if I trust him in the nickel. I don't know. Really don't. But, hey, the Niners got a lot of, I say they need a few facelifts. They need some surgeries. Plus, they got a lot of stuff they got to freaking do. Like, you know what I mean? But I think they got some really great talent here. They got some really great talent. Corey says, what happened to Mooney Ward? I just think he's just having a down season, man. I just think he's having a down season. And in a contract year, unfortunately, he was going through the personal stuff, and it's just I don't know. Like, I can't really. His play hasn't been good though. His play hasn't been consistent. And part of that's just not just being out there on a football field. Remember, Ward was also returning from the weird injury like George Kittle, so I don't know if that hindered his play earlier in the beginning. I don't know, man. I honestly don't know, but I wish him nothing but the best. I just don't see him getting the contract. Faithfully in Vegas. What's going on, Mariah? Mariah's in the building. What's good? Man, it was just, I don't know. It's just a lot. I do miss Jimmy Ward. I understand why they moved on from him, but damn, I wish we would have just paid him the money to be the safety. We probably would have more interceptions. But again, I really think it comes down to who's running the defense and what the hell their philosophy is. Because right now, I can't tell you a philosophy of this defense. I got the philosophy. You ready? I got the philosophy. The philosophy is just miss a bunch of tackles. They only missed 6 in this game. 6 missed tackles. We'll give them that. But, hey, all year long, it's crazy. Nigel, last question. Thoughts on former linebacker Azeez Al-Shair's play that got him ejected from the game? He got ejected for targeting. And so, like, y'all, it was a dirty play, man. Like, look, the new football is, if you see the quarterback even going into the slide, you got to find a way to lay off. So even if you make contact, make it incidental, right? Like, make it act like don't make it obvious like you're trying to hit the quarterback. Try to find a way to, like, not hit him. Like, if you hit him, you won't get targeting. And so I know it did. I don't know if he hit the quarterback in the head, Trevor Lawrence, but Trevor Lawrence's head did hit the ground due to the result of the collision. So he led with the forearm, like that right there, and he lunged with it, right? So he lunged with the forearm, right? That's what made it dirty. And remember, yo, how crazy is this? We were just talking about Jimmy Ward. Remember Jimmy Ward getting these penalties the last season he was here? Remember? I know y'all remember that. It's tough for the defender because the quarterback has the full grace of everything because it's when they start taking that slide. So you got to make a quick split decision. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. It's tough. But he shouldn't. If he wouldn't have lunged with the forearm, regardless if he hit him in the chest or not, I don't think he would have gotten ejected. I think he would have got a flag. It would have been a flag, but I don't think he would have got ejected. But then the fight afterwards and all that was uncalled for. But I mean, he had to know he was about to get mollywopped by the Jaguars. Like, Doug, you just took a shot at their quarterback. Now, if the Jags didn't do anything, I would have issues with the Jaguars. But shout out to Evan Ingram, who literally put him on his ass. He deserved to be put on his ass too at that point because it was like, bro, like that was uncalled for. But you know me, man. I miss me some Aziz Al-Shaair. That junk was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Niner Cali Boy says, Mike put out the perfect tweet. We are watching this team play expecting the worst. Mass dysfunction on all three levels. Feel bad the fans that paid to see these lackluster efforts. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, last night was an anomaly, though. Like, it looked like they were timid playing in that weather. You know what I'm saying? Like, it looked like they weren't scared, but they were playing very gingerly out there on the football field. They were playing to not get hurt. So, I think that affected their play for sure. Last but not least, I see Miss Debbie. She says, I really feel for our players, and I hate that the fans only think of them as football players. They have outside lives of football that mentally affect their play. It's had to play like, yeah, it's hard to play like that. It is. Because like I said, we never know what players are going through personally because it's none of our business. And then if they choose to share what they share with us, then that's one thing. But, you know, Miss Debbie, just all we could do is pray for them. And thank you for your prayers. Guys, you've been a crazy, amazing audience. We had a bunch of people in here. I hope you guys hit that like button. If this is your first time watching, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. And we'll be back with a bunch of shows this week. We're going to keep the regular season schedule going. I won't make any changes until next season, but there will be some changes made here on the WayneBreezie channel for sure. And until next time, you guys stay faithful, man. I know it's tough, but at this point, I mean, what more can you do but other than be faithful, right? Like you love your team. I don't question anybody not loving their 49ers. I think that everybody is a little teed off because of what we're seeing, the product out there on the football field, and I get it. I'm not mad. So feel free to feel the way you feel. That's important. Like, you need to get those emotions out for sure. Let's just hope that the players, you know what I'm saying? Let's just hope that the players find a way. And that's what it's going to take, man. Look, it's coaching, it's execution, it's everything from A to Z at this point with the San Francisco 49ers. But whatever it is, it's not good. They have a chance. They have an opportunity to find a way to rewrite it, to write this out, right? You ever get sick and you got to get the illness out, but it take a couple of weeks? I feel like the Niners have been sick. Green Bay, that was a sick. Buffalo, all right. Let's get back home. Let's get some chicken noodle soup. Let's get some whatever it is we need to get healthy, you know, the best way we can. Let's get some consistency out there. It looked like Kyle Shanahan was going to run the ball. He got some Jordan Mason mixed in there. You got Christian McCaffrey, and then McCaffrey gets hurt. Now it's Mason, and then it's Isaac Guerendo. Next week it's probably going to be Mason, Guerendo, and then your third running back, probably Patrick Taylor Jr. So it's going to be a little different, but they'll be at home. That's a good thing. And let's see if the Niners can hold the fort down at home against the team that finds way to lose, Chicago Bears. That's who they are. That's who they are. I'm not saying anything out of pocket. The Bears find ways to lose. Let's hope they find another way to lose. But I tell you what, they're going to give the 49ers their best shot. So if you're a 49er faithful, be ready for it. I know I am. Love y'all. Stay up. Keep it faithful to the Bay. Till the next time. Peace.